You know, all these fires in Salinas and the sound booth is still standing. I've had a couple of updates to the Civic Type R since the last time we were out on track. I actually had a video that I was putting together for that. I lost a bunch of the footage. Actually, the footage was okay, but I had a problem with audio and I couldn't get the install video out to you guys in time. So here's what we got that's different. I got a bunch of RV6 chassis upgrades, including rear sway bar, adjustable, three-way adjustable sway bar with the billet end links. And before that, I had the Eibach rear sway bar. Just undoing my hood here, guys, while I'm talking to you. I had the Eibach rear sway bar. The reason why I switched to the RV6 is because it gives me more levels of adjustability and allows me to adjust it to a stiffer position. Now, the reason why I wanted that is because I want to allow for more rotation in the car. I didn't feel like I quite had enough. And the Eibach sway bar was great, but it wasn't quite stiff enough. I feel like now with the RV6 sway bar, it gives me a little more rotation without having to tweak the dampening adjustments on my JRZ coilovers, which is perfect. I also got solid rear and front control arm bushings, also from RV6. So any play that there was left in the chassis is all the way gone. I mean, as I'm driving down the road, I can feel those paper straw covers that you get at McDonald's on the road. If I drive over one, my teeth are chattering. So yeah, it's stiff, which is okay because anything I can do with that chassis dynamics and help the car stick to the road better, I'm all the more for it. So, but the thing I'm more excited about today is this right here, which you probably can't see, but I've got the Acuity reverse flow radiator hoses. They are in the car, and didn't really feel a need to do a road test with the radiator hoses because they're designed to be used on track, and they're designed to make a real difference on track. So here we are. It's the Shakedown for Acuity reverse radiator hoses and the RV6 chassis mods. I'm gonna finish getting set up here. It looks like one of my buddies, Dave, just showed up. I'm gonna go set up next to him and we'll get it rolling. Let's go. So there's a good number of us out here today. We've got a subgroup within a group. I'm out here with my normal Civic Type R Northern California club guys. And we also have Track Driven out here with us today. A couple of our members are members of also Track Driven, and they've got friends and what we would consider family at this point all over the country. And we've got a special guest today, Stig, who isn't here in his own car but borrowed a vehicle. He's here in a Mercedes-Benz today. He's going to be out on track. We'll see if we can't get him to drive my car and see what my car is actually capable of, see if it's really capable of that sub 40. But that's what we're shooting for today. We're going to see how those Acuity hoses perform. It does feel a little muggy out here. I think it's a combination of the humidity in the air and the smoke, but we're going to get ready for the first session, head out. session 1 is done, and we are at already 140.12. So we're back to 140 again, which is awesome. And with the changes in the car, it is definitely rotating better than it was, which is perfect. The car is exactly where I want it right now. I just need to have a little more trust that I can get back on the accelerator a little bit sooner, because the car is now pointed where I want it just that bit sooner. And I think we're there, guys. I mean, all I need is 0.2 of a second. You know, 0.2, that's it. That's all I need. Temperatures were okay. I will say, it said the temperature for this time of the day was supposed to be at 59 degrees. It's nowhere near that cool. I'm in, you know, short sleeve shirts and a pair of shorts, and I'm sweating. You know, there's no way it is that cool. And when I was in the car before I got on track, it said on my gauge that it was 77 degrees, which is much more believable. I think that has to do with the smoke cloud coverage, and there's a lot of humidity in the air today too, which is not good for temperatures. Dry air is typically better for temperatures than wet air, humid air. So, but temperatures were okay. I need to keep a closer eye on that. They were starting to creep up, but before they really got too high, I had to pull off. I had a little bit of an off on turn 10. When I saw how easy I was getting 140s, I started overdriving the car a little bit, and I went off a bit. So not a big deal. Car's okay. Splitter's fine. A little bit of rocks and dust, but we're gonna get ready for session 2 and head out. right, session 2 is done. And unfortunately, I don't have any better news to share with you. But the good thing is I don't have any worse news either. I hit 140 again, 140 flat. The car feels as consistent as ever. It is not cool out here, guys. It is warm. It's a lot warmer than expected. My coolant and oil temperatures are still climbing up. This is a warmer day. I'd say it's pretty close to about the same warmth as the last time I was out. It's definitely in the 80s, and it's probably closer to 100 on track. Track temps are different than paddock temps, obviously, and I think this the soot and the smog in the air and the moisture in the air is kind of making this a warmer day than it typically would be. Hopefully later in the afternoon it'll cool down a little bit. Tires started to get a little bit greasy and I was starting to drop a little bit of time towards the end, but I went the whole session. Now, I was getting close to where it was being a concern for my temps, my oil temps and water temps, but I did not overheat. So that is a key takeaway. Now, having said that, again, it's still a few degrees cooler today, even though it's warmer than it's supposed to be right now, than it was the last time I was out. So I'm sure the Acuity hoses are helping. It's just hard to gauge how much they're helping because the temps outside are a little different than last time. But the car feels, albeit even a little bit stronger this time. So I don't know, it's really difficult to tell, but times are good. I'm still off. I'm still shooting for that sub 40, guys. You know I have been. Just a little more driver mod. The car has it. Just if the temps are a little bit cooler, my tires get greasy a little bit later, I gain a little confidence and some balls and get back on the accelerator just a touch sooner, and it's there. 140 this time is definitely coming easier than last time. Last time wasn't difficult per se, but it feels more effortless this time. So that's a good sign given the temperatures. So we're gonna grab lunch, we're gonna get ready for session 3 and then head back out. right, session 3 is done. And normally later in the afternoon, the temperatures start to cool off a little bit, which is what I was hoping. It's really not. It's still hot and muggy out here. Now the temperature gauge in the car in the paddock was reading 80. Out on track, again, it's probably closer to 100, but you know, the car just doesn't like it. So, you know, and it's really hard to gauge if the Acuity hoses are making a positive difference, but what I can tell you is it's not making things any worse. You know, and scientifically and in theory and mathematically it makes a lot of sense, but it's hard to compare today's track day to the last track day because the elements are so different. Today there's a lot more humidity, so, and there's this like mugginess in the air. I'm like, even just sitting here, it's harder for me to breathe, so I can only imagine what it's like for the car. So it's really hard to compare data points. We may need to, well, obviously we're going to be out here again at some point, seeing what all this stuff does, but pushed my car to the limit this last time. Again, couldn't break 140. I've been at this track enough times now that I know where I need to make improvements and where I have been making improvements. It's just a question of getting everything to work together. You know, if I can somehow find a way to keep this car cooler for a little bit longer, I mean, we're there, guys. I don't want to say I'm falling asleep out there, but I'm so comfortable in this car and on this track now that I can run every single turn, not literally with my eyes closed, but you know what I mean. I feel very comfortable out there and in this car. Looking at my front tires with the RV6 suspension and the changes, absolutely makes the car feel like it's rotating better, which is exactly what I wanted. But now I think I need to dial a little bit more negative camber in the front, because if you look at my, well, here, let me show you. One of the things you want to do when you go out to the track, guys, is read your tires, because that's going to tell you a lot. But I can see that the wear on the tire is coming all the way out to the edge of the wear bar here on the sidewall, and in the back it's not quite as deep. In the back you see a little bit more of so you even see the wear mark here. You don't see the wear mark on the front because it's been rubbed off already. So I think the rear camber is perfect. I think the front camber probably needs another 2/10. So, you know, another couple of other little adjustments, you know, really just fine-tuning at this point. And, you know, praying that we'll get some cooler weather at some point. It's been pretty hot, and it is summertime, guys. So, you know, you gotta have realistic expectations when you're coming out here, especially on this platform, which has its heat challenges. So, that's it for session 3. We're just waiting for session 4, which is our final session. We'll see what we got. Session 4 done. Temperatures were manageable. I didn't overheat. They weren't in the ideal area. I was still getting pretty close to 260 on my oil temps. Not ideal, but better than the previous session. It did cool down a little bit. I'm telling you, a couple degrees outside an ambient temperature makes a pretty big difference actually, and that translates onto track. But I couldn't crack 140. I mean, what else is new, right? But here's the takeaway. I didn't want to end the video here because I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the Acuity Reverse Radiator Hoses and the RV6 solid lower control bushings. Let's get to the meat of it. So talking about the Acuity hoses, I think it's a great product. Do I think it's worth it? Yes, but I think you're going to gain more benefit out of it if you track your car. I can definitely see that it would be a great product even if you only street your car and you do some, you know, fun canyon runs. It's definitely a great product for that as well. I think if you're off the track, it's going to serve more of a purpose of your car not pulling power when it starts to get too warm, which is fantastic. I know a lot of you are experiencing that out there, as did I before I had all of the cooling mods. But since I've already had so many other cooling mods on my car, seeing any power loss on the street was a long gone afterthought. Now my main goal is to try and keep the car cool enough at the track. So the real question is, did the Acuity hoses do that? The answer is, I would say it's inconclusive. And the reason why I say it's inconclusive is because I did do another small unmod, if you will, to the front of my car, and I'll show you that in a second. I picked up another fog light grill, one that has not been cut, and I put this back in at the racetrack for Laguna Seca. And the other one that I had that had all the little ventilation holes cut out, I took that out and I put this one in, and I did that along with the Acuity Reverse Radiator Hoses. So why did I do that? Well, if you guys want me to do another video on this, let me know, but manufacturers put holes in parts of the car for cooling and not cooling on purpose. It is aerodynamically correct when they design their car to not have holes in places like the fake fog light grill. So we call it fake because it has the design of a grill in the front, but there are no holes through it from the factory. A lot of us put holes in it, just like I did, to allow for better ventilation, especially since I got the oil cooler back there. Well, I don't run fog lights anymore. I took the fog lights out, a little bit of weight savings, a little bit more airflow. I figured it would allow for enough airflow to the oil cooler that is behind that fog light grill, without having the need for the additional holes that I cut out of that grill, which is why I got another OEM grill with the holes that aren't cut out. Slap that in, keep the fog light out, should be enough airflow. So that should be at least part of the consideration when talking about the Acuity Reverse Radiator Hoses, because that is a factor that I did change that was different from the last time I went out on track. So having said all that, I think the real big takeaway here is, I think I'm finally coming to grips and coming to terms with this platform. There's just no real economical way around it. All of these cooling mods are necessary. I recommend as many cooling mods as you can get on your car if you do track it. But don't look at any one of those cooling mods as a silver bullet. There isn't one of those single cooling mods that's going to solve the overheating problem. And I'm sorry, but if there are some of you out there who are not overheating and you track your car, you're not driving fast enough. If you disagree with me, feel free to comment below. Now, as far as the RV6 solid bushings are concerned, that is definitely not a daily driver friendly mod. I mean, albeit neither was the front compliance mount for the RV6 as well, because that's a solid bushing in there as well. The car creaks like crazy. You feel every little bump in the road now, and to tell you the truth, it doesn't bother me. It still doesn't bother me. Now, if I have full race bucket seats with very little padding on the bottom of them, and the seats were all the way on the ground to where I could feel even more, that might push it over the edge for me as a car that I could daily drive. But you know what, to tell you the truth, I already got the bucket seats in the S2000. I'll probably still daily the Civic Type R if I had bucket seats in that thing. You know why? Because race car, all right? I can definitely tell after putting the RV6 parts in that I'm using more of the tire, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, I need to now adjust my camber a little bit because I'm not running quite as much camber as I need to. I'm actually seeing wear that's exceeding the outer limits of the tire in the front. So I'll tweak that before the next track day. I'll give you my closing thoughts now, back at the track, and then we'll wrap it up. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy these track day videos. I've got more and more content for the Civic Type R and the S2000 coming up. The S2000 is getting really close to having its first track day, but we'll see. Hopefully, my goal is to hit Sonoma before the end of the year in the Civic Type R, which is a track I haven't been on yet, so I'm really excited about that. But that's it for today. Until next time, stay hungry, stay fast, stay tuned. I'm Michael Baxi, and I'm out.
Okay, I've been working like 3 jobs. Probably why I never see ya. Probably why I never have time for the fake friends that won't be ya. Oh God, I've been running now. Up early when the sun is out. Not setting out my own soul, but those real ones, they coming out. Oh look who's reaching out. Old friends wanna feed